Hi everyone, I'm Lesley Oman from Heffy Doodle and I'm here today at Scrapbook.com. I'm going to share with you some fun videos. Today I'm making this card. It says you're pretty awesome because we here at Scrapbook.com actually think that you are pretty awesome. And we're featuring the Dino-Time stamps and dies, and also we're going to be building up a fun blended background using the candy store stencil from Heffy Doodle. Let's get started. I'm going to start today by blending my background and building up some mats and layers so that it has a nice, perfectly framed black frame around it so it really pops. So I'm going to grab some black cardstock and also some white cardstock, and we will start die cutting and trimming out some of our card for this. To create our stitched panel, I'm going to be using the Heffy Doodle Imperial Stitched Rectangle dies. I'll be using the second largest size, holding this down with a little Heffy Memo tape as I run this through my die cutting machine. Now this stitched panel is what we're going to be using to ink up our background. But to really make it pop, I need to trim down a piece of black cardstock, which is just slightly larger. I'll set this to the side for now, so that we can make a start on inking our background. I'm going to be starting off with some spun sugar distress oxides today, and then adding some accents using some picked raspberry distress ink. Now to frame my dinosaurs in this scene, I want to actually mask off an area about a third of the way down on my cardstock. So I'll use some Heffy Doodle low tack memo tape to do that. I'll just try to get it straight. You can always use a ruler or the lines on a cutting mat to help you. Now taking a foam applicator, foam blending tool, and the spun sugar distress oxide, I'm going to bring the ink to my cardstock in swift circular motions. This will create a beautifully pink blended background. Now I'm going to take the Heffy Doodle Candy Store stencil and lay this right on top, and I'll secure it in place with a little purple tape. This time I'm using picked raspberry, that rich pink tone, to bring some color onto my card, and it will only appear through the lines of my stencil. Now we can pull back the tape and reveal our project underneath, which is always my favorite part. Now, because we're using distress inks and distress oxides, they do react with water. So I'm going to just open up my mister bottle and sprinkle some water over my project. Now, I actually don't want it to get on this white panel here. So just take something from your craft area, cover it up, and then tap on the tube on the inside here. Leave it for about 3 or 4 seconds and then pick up the water. You have this beautiful distressed look. Now let's stick this onto our card using some double-sided sticky tape, centralizing these panels so that they really pop. And once we have these in place, then we can move on to stamping our cute little dinos and the sentiment. Perfect. Now let's grab my stamp platform. I'm going to be using the Dino-Time stamp set to create 2 cute little dinos for this card. So this one's my favorite. And then I'm also going to choose this little guy, little buddy, because I like the way that they're looking at one another and it looks like they're talking to one another. I'm also going to be using a stamp from the Whatcha Now stamp set by Heffy Doodle. And I'm picking this one that says you're pretty awesome. And the beauty of a stamp platform is that I can stamp them all at once. Let's pick up my stamps and ink them up. And before I remove my cardstock from my stamp platform, I'm actually going to add use one of these stamps with the solid speech bubble, and I'll stamp right on top of the sentiment that I've already stamped. So in this stamp set, you will get 2 solid images and also the outline images, and you can actually use them together, but today I'm just going to be using the solid image at the top here, and I'll lay it down right on top of my sentiment, which I have already stamped. Now this is the What You Sayin' Now stamp set, which has the bumpy speech bubble. We also have What You Sayin' stamp set, which is a more rounded square speech bubble. All of the sentiments coordinate with both speech bubbles, so you can use them interchangeably. Now for this, I'm going to be using my Spun Sugar Distress Oxide, but instead of tapping my ink pad straight down like this, I'm actually going to hold it at an angle and only try and catch the edge, the outer edge of the stamp. And that will give a softer feel to the stamped image. So it's pink around the edges, fading into white. You can do that as often as you like, but I think this is perfect as is. Now I'm going to color in my dinos, and I'm going to be using some alcohol markers for this to very quickly color in both of these little cuties. I want to keep the colors nice and soft, so I've picked some pastel tones, and I'm actually just going to add the color to the bottom section of my dinos and use a blending pen to blend it into white. It gives a lovely soft effect. So now I'm going to use the coordinating dies to cut out my cute dinos. And I'll hold them in place with a little Heffy low-tack memo tape. This memo tape has just the right amount of stick to make sure that your dies won't move and it won't damage your cardstock or your beautifully colored in images either. And now I can stick these onto my card. To adhere my dinos in place, I'm going to use a little bit of foam adhesive just to pop them up and give them some dimension. And they are both going to be looking at one another, like this. And then this little guy is telling his friend just how much he thinks his friend's pretty awesome. Now our card's almost finished, but I thought that we needed some extra little embellishments. So I'm going to add some Nuvo jewel drops in the key lime color and the sea breeze color. Just a few little drops on here. And then the important bit, at least for me, is to set it aside and not touch it until it dries. And then you have your finished card, which has this beautiful sparkle with the jewel drops and our cute little pastel dinos. Thanks for watching. If you like this video and want to see more from Scrapbook.com, please like, share, subscribe, and leave a message.